Yo guys, good morning. Okay, so AVAX, we bought at 20, we're sitting at 25. Some really good gains. So from our buy the dip zone up 25%. Come on, that's amazing. We saw the Bitcoin dominance make its first lower low in forever. So this thing's been trending up, tracking up high, trending against alt season since forever. So we need to unpack this. And the reason I want to unpack this is because Bitcoin is stalling at $120,000. It's now there for the second week in a row, locked it in. And we're in our third week trying to see if we can get into the 120, close there and try and push for 130. While that stall is there, this might mean that we're going to have buy the dip opportunities. Hence the fact that there might be a juicy little short there, because it brings the question to the to the front. Should we test 110K? Now the point and figure chart does suggest that there's areas there, so I want to talk to you guys about that. In addition to this, we see more and more alts moving up the Bitcoin list. Now we're sitting with 56 alts outperforming Bitcoin. Not alt season yet, but alt season soon. Okay, so we want to talk about this as well. So if this tickles your fancy, you want to know a little bit more, you know what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and if you're new to the channel, say hi. I would love to say hi to you. And for all the regulars and the OGs and the guys that's been here since forever, it's always nice having you on the stream with me in the mornings. There's no words for what you guys are. Okay, let's get into this. I'm gonna cut the sound. Let's get serious real quick. So let's start off with Bitcoin. And the first question that I ask myself this morning is, when I look at Bitcoin and we remember the previous bull market highs and where we're at now, I have to remind myself the emotional market cycle is littered full of people that, just don't, they forget about this. Tops will always look bullish, just like bottoms will always look bearish. So if I'm trying to look at this market from a sentiment point of view, I am going to fail, because the emotion and everything around that, the news, the narratives, everything around that is going to go against what the TA shows us at this stage. And it's our job to just remember where the levels are, the lines drawn in the sand, so that we can make the money as the market goes up, but know when to get out, because taking profit is an acquired skill. If you don't practice this regularly, come the real top. I've got no evidence to say that this is the real top. Okay, come the real top, you're not going to know how to take profit. Okay, so remember that, guys. Okay, so now we do have this fractal that's still in play. Remember, now we need to cross the red value before we can say, okay, there's going to be 150. So Bitcoin needs to reclaim 120, and it needs to close a weekly in there. And there's a lot that needs to happen in order for us to start thinking 150 and dreaming big. And the reason the dominance is doing so well or so well for the alt, so badly, is purely because that Ethereum is moving up, altcoins are moving up, and Bitcoin is feigning. Now we know that Bitcoin needs to lose momentum in order for us to have an alt season. So if we go through the alt season phases, it's all Bitcoin. Then Bitcoin loses momentum as money flows into Ethereum, and then the other coins are going to move. So we're ticking the correct boxes, but it doesn't mean that there can't be a massive buy the dip scenario. And this is that question for 110K. So let's have a look at this 110K test, if it's really needed. Now, the chart that I'm going to use for this is the point and figure. So what point and figure does is it doesn't look at price. It doesn't print candles as price is moving. It looks at the amount of gains per, as price is moving. So it creates a block, and each block signifies an amount of dollar gain. And unless we go above that block, the block doesn't get printed. So the easiest way to explain this is this thing can stay and look exactly like this for as long as price revolves around that area. It doesn't look at time in a similar way. You can see that the amount of days, the size of each day at the bottom of the screen varies. So if you go and read up on it, so Wyckoff basically invented this way of looking at candles. But the takeaway that you need to do is you just need to go to TradingView and select on your candle styles, point and figure. And the takeaway is that when we create these gaps, this would be areas where price will go and revisit the market. Okay? Creates a gap, price goes and revisits. Creates a gap. We didn't quite get that there. But you get the gist of it. And what I do is I use the visible price range with a volume, VPVR. Okay? And to look for where volume was low. So let me just quickly show you that for where volume was low. And that will typically give confluence. So the expectation that price is going to go back to 112, 110, that's the big question, is very low because there's a lot of volume between those areas. But where we were at 115, price didn't hang around there, it just ran. It ran. So if this market wants to go and look for fresh liquidity and shake you out and create a buy the dip scenario so that alts like AVAX can actually do this. Let me just show you, can actually do this. We can call this a 1 and then come back down for 2, 3, 4, 5. Just that simple necessity that is, we need a retrace for the move to remain healthy. So that can happen. This would be the play that I'm expecting. Now I've got so many tabs. This would be the area. So 110K, I doubt it. 115K does make sense. Now let's look at Bitcoin from a multi-time frame point of view. So here we've got the weekly time frame, and see if we can find confluence in there on the charts. Because one chart by itself doesn't give me enough information. I haven't sold any of my spot Bitcoin, and I probably won't do any of this as well. Okay? So we're looking at basically just somewhere in there. Now, the rule with any of these breakouts are, when you have a coin or a price that moves, it has to go and revisit at least 50% of that move. So let's put a 50% fib in there. So there's 114,000 again. So a weekly overlap, we didn't get it the last week, to 114K still makes sense. Now, any of these massive breakouts, when you start seeing and you look at them, in the future, there will be an overlap. Now, when the overlap will be, we don't know, but the reality is there should be an overlap. So 114 is a plausible point for an overlap. But now the weekly can only give us that much information. So if we look at the daily time frame, this is the long that I shared with you guys. We went long at 108. I'm still long that price point on Prime XBT. I'm not signed in. Otherwise, I would just show you the trade there. I'm still long that. And I'm looking to take profit. So the question is, and it's a tough one for today, are we going to make a higher high first and then go down there? Or are we going to go down straight? Because I think that is the hard thing that everybody is currently moving on. And this is where I'm really bullish still. If you look at the daily, this is the bullish daily signal that I'm finding. We're not making any lower lows. So I'm just going to draw a simple trend line just to pick up the lows. But the RSI is starting to retrace. Now, you can easily see something like that when you have a move and price is not making lower lows, but the RSI is retracing. Okay, there you have it. Making no lower lows, but the RSI is retracing. That's giving you each time hidden bullish divergence. And there's no bearish signal really for us to act on in this move. There's the pivot. We still need to go and trade there at 121, 125 in order for us to even say that there's any bearish signal, before there's any bearish signal to think of. So in short, my 4-hour time frame trade where I'm looking for another swing at $114 maybe needs to be put on hold a little bit more for longer. This one here where I'm trying to get in at 114. Needs to be put on ice because Bitcoin will potentially, for the beginning of this week, bump into Wednesday maybe, go make that higher high, give us 125, and then only start look for short liquidity. Because purely I think there's too many of us that want to see it go down now. So it's not going to give you that just yet. And the way that you can time that is you can use the top of 123 and you can pull it right back down to the bottom. Use that candle and just say, okay, where's my prediction for strong bearish divergence there? And it's going to tell you, well, there it is between 123 and 128. So if we get there, the probability of this daily then giving us hidden bearish, a strong bearish divergence, signaling a reversal, then only. Okay, so short-term outlook, we're bullish as hell. Long-term outlook, we need to have a dip in order to complete a wave. And the most probable bounce points, not 110 for now, it's 115. Okay, so that sorts out Bitcoin for you guys on the 4-hour. Everybody on the same page, let me know in the comments. I'm just going to quickly look there. Quasi saying file, I probably meaning file coin. I'm actually really interested in that coin, to be honest with you. Vitali, nice to have you here in the morning, my friend. Let's see, any comments, any other things? Let me know where you're tuning in from, or what you're holding, or whatever the case might be. What's happening in your life? I'd love to know. Okay, so let's move on now. So I spoke to you guys briefly about the emotional market cycle, and the one thing that I want to take away from guys is that the market will keep on pushing up and keep on treating us until giving us these moves until typically everybody's positioned themselves in a compromising area. Now, how can we check this? Check if we're compromised. The tools you can use the open interest and you can use the funding rate. Now, these are simple. It tells you what's happening on the exchanges. Is there a hell of a lot of people going long right now with stops so that if the market turns around, it basically liquidates them? That's the whole idea. So the first thing is, if we look at the open interest, that's the amount of leverage traders in the market at the moment. So if we zoom out a bit, what we want to see is harmony. So I want to see the market go on, making higher highs, and the open interest following. And as long as that happens, the trend is still healthy. But once the market is making higher highs and open interest is in the opposite direction, it's telling you the order book's getting thin, people are getting wary, bigger players, and the market's probably due a correction because the amount of people still wanting to buy is gone. So the best analogy that I can use to try and explain this is, there's 200 people watching live at the moment. There's 20, let's say 20 pencils available at the moment. And we all just want to use a pencil to say hi in the chat box. Simple as that. The first 20 buys the pencil for $1. And everybody that gives drops a comment in the chat box gets $100. So obviously that pencil is a cheap deal because now you've made $99, and that's why things go up. People see an opportunity to buy something because they have a belief that there's going to be a potential for them to grab it on, to get more gains going forward. Now, what happens if there's a time limit on that? Near the end of the time, but nobody quite knows where the time limit will be. At some stage, people will be willing to bet $99 for that because they can still make $1. But what if you bet $99, but the time expires and you won't have an opportunity to sell? All of a sudden, that pencil will then go cheaper again. And the people that kind of weigh up that maths to kind of see when the market's going to move and when the market's when the time has run out for this being a good deal, now it becomes a bad deal. That's what the funding rate is trying to achieve. Okay, so now we know that there's still a hell of a lot of people, because we still have harmony. There's a hell of a lot of people still interested in going long. The funding rate's still relatively high. Okay, now the other side of this, to try and add more, the open interest. Sorry, guys, the open interest. Please excuse me. It's Monday morning. I'm using all the wrong words. But the whole story was true. Okay. So now when we talk about the funding rate, okay, this is now people that are holding on to the pencil waiting for a better deal. how much they're willing to get paid. Now, I saw a comment earlier from NFT shooter Dan, friend of mine. Okay, he said, listen, I'm stuck, but the funding rate is killing all my profit. What do? Do I cut it or wait for the drop? Okay, it's in the community section there. This is because it's becoming so easy to just sit and hold your position. The exchanges are now becoming greedy. They're saying, okay, it's so easy just to be long. So what we need to do is to keep the market moving, to make sure that there's people on the other side willing to short. We're going to charge you more money. Simple as that, Mr. Dan. And that's what's happening now. So now when you look at this, the funding rate, typically when this is so high, at some stage, the market will deviate from this area and it will switch to a negative funding rate. And that's when they have to do the opposite. So while you're getting charged very high, bearish divergence should be taken seriously, because at some stage, the market then will turn around on you. So the fact that it's high, it's showing you that too many people are too confident that it's going to go higher still. Now, what would be higher still? Like I said this earlier today with Bitcoin. If this thing goes to 124, 125, people are just going to say, wait for 150, that kind of stuff. And a lot of people are going to use this to probably just rationalize themselves into more longs that they cannot afford to hold if the market were to flush it down to 140. And that's this is physics, guys. I mean, we can debate on when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, but at the end of the day, it is we tend to blame this on and say that this is manipulation, but it's not. It's just us. We're impacting the market as a community. And if everybody thinks and feels the same, market can only do one thing: go in the opposite direction. Everybody that wanted to buy Bitcoin bought Bitcoin. It cannot go higher. Simple as that. Okay, so I think that touches on the emotional side of things as well very nicely, because these charts then tells us people are still exceptionally bullish. And if the market wants to turn on them now, we need to look for divergence. And that's why I'm saying the market will give them occasionally. Everybody gets to be right so that they can be wrong consistently. Let me get the words right. Occasionally, everybody gets to be right for them to be wrong consistently. So Bitcoin, going to probably hit 125 this week, say Wednesday. Statistically, that's the best day for this. And then probably from that point onwards, hurt a hell of a lot of people. And then give us the completion of our first wave for the alts, which is what we're looking for, because now we can add and ride this thing a little bit further. So that's the blessing in disguise. Okay, so now let's head over to the comments real quick, and then I want to talk to Ethereum, Ethereum to the BTC pairing, some other alts to the BTC pairing, and what I'm going to be looking at next. Okay, so before we do that, though, guys, let's just have a look at the economic events, because this week is important. Now, today is Japanese banking holiday, so the Asia market's a little quiet. So I'm expecting a slowish grind. This almost supports the idea that divergence now will actually play out, because if we go make a higher high, there's less market activity, less people going to get short squeezed and maybe move price into $130,000, $135,000 level. And leading up for the rest of the week, it's a very slow week. Only Thursday we get the PMI figures getting released. Now, it's true, guys, at this stage, Jerome Powell is under a hell of a lot of pressure, because the idea is that the CPI figures, they wanted to bring the inflation down, and now that's higher. So the betting men at the moment is saying that there's probably not going to be an interest rate drop. Now, if you can use the CME Group chart to have a look at that. I didn't load it prior to the stream, but you can see that everybody's expecting for July that the rates are going to remain the same. And the interesting thing is, if we have a look at the September picture, it's slowly but surely becoming less plausible. People are worried that the September rate drop is maybe not going to happen. This is growing. Now, the markets don't want to be proven wrong. So if everybody bought on a narrative that the rate is going to drop, typically if it doesn't, what did we get wrong? And then what do? Adjust the risk, get out. So remember that is still on play. And the whole reason the market wanted to see this as a bullish signal, the drop in rates, is because statistically then the stock markets, everything rallies. If we're not going to get that, the question is, did you then buy the top, and is there going to be a retrace before this happens? And it's a fair question. So take note of that, guys. Now, in the light of this, our gold swing long, we had our previous one that played out nicely. Gold is in a lateral range, as being so it's showing us that momentum is slowing down there. The gold swing long that we have is doing really well, and I anticipate with Bitcoin pushing up to maybe 125, we could potentially hit our TP at trend resistance, $3,300. And if you want to trade something other than Bitcoin, I would suggest maybe looking at silver, because this is poised to move up to at least $40 a fine ounce. Okay, so have a look at silver. And if you want to trade this, guys, you're more than welcome to do that with me on PrimeXBT. That's the reason why I do most of my trading on PrimeXBT, because I can get in on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and everything else. And I get to wet my beak on these trading pairs, all the Forex and legacy trading pairs as well. There's easy money to be made there, my friends. You don't have to just trade Bitcoin. Okay. So, yeah, if you want to support the content, more than welcome to do so. Get your PrimeXBT account, go to the navigation channel, click on the partner roles there, links in the video description, and I will incentivize you supporting the content by even giving you my buddy indicator. Now, the buddy indicator works as follows. Let's open it up. It loads and tells you what strategies I would be looking for when. So if you look at this AVAX trade here on the 4-hour time frame, the buddy indicator gave you a nice short there at 24 over the weekend, and it gave you the buy at 23.37, the buy, the dip zone, and it's on TP1, TP2, on its way to TP3. This was an alternative. Sometimes you get the market chopping around. That's why it's not labeled. But there it is. The buddy indicator helps you and shows you more momentum with these momentum tags. So you don't need to get out of the position just yet. Okay. Now, that's it. So let's have a look at the alts now. So I want to quickly head over to the comments, and then we need to have a look at Ethereum, see if the hidden bearish divergence that we had there is still there. It may be, there we go. Make it sound a little bit less like a classroom. Okay, I want to talk to you guys about Ethereum and a few other things before we move on. Let's quickly have a look at the comments. There's a question here from Peter. If there's time possible to show the fib speed resistance fan, for example. Peter, those kind of things I teach in my Discord. So if you want to have a look at that, you're more than welcome to head over to the Discord, and you can always ask questions in there or join. You know, if you sign up with PrimeXBT and you look at the deals, you can actually get access to the trading side of my Discord. I keep it gated, not to be spiteful or anything like that, just to make sure that the people that are in here is serious about trading. And in there is a lot more information and all the information that you would need. So I would love to see you joining there. And yeah, that's it. So that will answer that for you. Let's see. Curve, when dip. Yes, when dip. Well, that's the plan. Hopefully when dip soon, my friend. And Mr. Complicated Simpleton was on vacation. He's ready to get wrecked. That's a nice one. Yeah, let's hope that that's not going to be the case for you, my friend. Okay. Right. Let's move on. So I want to talk to you guys about the alts real quick. So the first thing is, when we're in an alt market, is you need to consider them to their BTC pairing. Okay. So I've got this list. I'll quickly share the list for you guys. Copy link. I'm dropping it in the comments. There you go. Just import that list into your trading view, and then you'll have pretty much most of the alts to the BTC pairing that I would suggest we need to think of. Now, ETH did make a higher high. So the first question that I need to ask myself is there strong bearish divergence? And no. So Ethereum is still showing strength. So it suggests that if we look at Ethereum, just straight out, that we need to go to that $4,100 level. Now, why is that? Okay, so I'm going to go ETH Daily Timeframe. There's a lot of notes on the screen, so just bear with me. I'll try and move them out of the way for you guys. The reason for this is Ethereum is technically range bound now for what is a year, more than a year and a half. And unless we go make a higher high, all that this is just bounce from the bottom of the range to the top of the range. And that is what the market is looking for. So your Ethereum play for me at this stage is not to treat anything bearish on ETH until we make a higher high. So there's the level. Go and do that. Then we're golden. Now, the danger that we had was when we looked at ETH on the 4-hour time frame is that we could potentially sit with hidden bearish, that was the daily time frame, hidden bearish divergence, meaning as the market is not making a higher high, the RSI is already making a higher high. And that is why I don't want to see ETH at any stage. There's no buy the dips. It's getting on momentum. ETH needs to break through and give us that higher high. And the Bitcoin dominance suggests that that's ETH to the BTC pairing suggests that that's going to happen. Okay, simple, because look at this. Is there anything bearish yet? No, no pivots, no nothing. So ETH to the BTC pairing says that ETH has got more legs to more momentum, and then only the retrace will probably occur. How deep it will be, I don't know, and you know, we're going to have to take it level by level. But for now, Ethereum for the whole of this week will probably continue on running, and that would be a really good coin to be in at this stage. Okay. What else do we have for Ethereum? So a dangerous thing is retail is looking at ETH from different angles. So let me load a clean ETH chart. So I'm just going to do this. Clean ETH. Let's use ETH on. There we go. That's one more work. So if you zoom out and you look at this picture, yet again, why ETH cannot stop. ETH is not allowed to slow down. Retail will be looking at this, saying, okay, well, there's a massive triangle pattern forming. And this, see there, is where the hidden bearish divergence also lives. So ETH, go and delete that before we can even think about this. And the time to have bought between 2,400 and 3,700 is probably long gone, because we played enough, we spent enough time there. So it's going to be like Bitcoin when Bitcoin went from 15 to 71. Wow, I'm going to take that. When Bitcoin went from 15 to 71, it's just going to run, and it needs to keep on running and keep on running, and later on give us an opportunity to grab this. Okay, so that's, in short, the reason why I think ETH just needs to keep on running. Needs to break that hidden bullish divergence. Have a look at that. Make sure you see that. Make sure you prepare for if it doesn't. But for now, it does look really good. And that's why looking at these coins to the BTC pairing is so important. Okay. Now, let's have a look at other coins. We've got a few more minutes. So let's run through the coins that I've been sharing with you guys. Those ones, the ones that I've been highlighting, I think they're important for us to just keep an eye on. So the first one we were looking at was HYPE. Now, I explained that around the 50% level, things are going to start becoming bearish in the sense that if we fall below the pivot, you know, we're going to go lower. So HYPE tested the pivot for you guys over the weekend. And at this stage, it is up 10%. So as long as we test pivots and we go make higher, this is really good. So HYPE is still performing well, hyper liquid, And you can actually find it and check it out there. It was at the highs. Now it should be falling down slightly. I don't know where it is on the list now. I'm not seeing it. I'm maybe too fast now. There it is. Okay. But it's a strong performer, and nothing is saying that it's going to stop just yet. Okay. So keep holding your hype. New coin that I shared with you guys, I tweeted it out, I did a lot, was ENA. I said, guys, accumulation is in effect. And I shared this when we were at 34 cents. And now what we're doing is we're breaking out any test between where it's at now, 48 cents, down to 43 cents, is your buy the dip. Now, ENA has resistance at around 90 cents. So where you're grabbing it now, if you can get it there, this is a double your money, sell half, buy, risk-reward ratio. So ENA has the opportunity to do that for you. Double your money, then you sell half, and then you've got your free ENA to dream on for the rest of the bull cycle. How far can this bull cycle still go? Well, we still have time till at minimum October. Now, remember, the trend is very simple on trying to determine when the bull is going to end. When we look at halvings, the halving dates, and we look at the time Bitcoin, how Bitcoin reacts between the two halving dates, and we apply a time fib on them. Around the 38.2, Bitcoin tops. Around the 618, Bitcoin ends its drop. And up till now, it's been very accurate at giving us highs and lows. So where we're at right now, if we were to zoom in and make this a little bit bigger for you guys, the projection is that our next halving is going to be in March 2028 somewhere, which means that we have, and I mean, the blocks, it can shift around a little bit a month here and there, but it makes no difference, you know, if it's 1 month here or there, that we still have time till at least October this year. And it means that ENA could jump and get us there by August even. Give us a retrace, and then maybe do a double top at October. And that's why I want to try and have my TPs on the alts. Not there. I don't want to sell you guys on a $20 or a 1,000 X's on these things. It's just the amount of time we've got left doesn't make sense. Okay. So yeah, there you have it. Double your money. Now, the same thing for OP. So I shared OP with you guys when we were sitting here. I said, listen, look, strong bearish divergence, which we're reclaiming, and now it's moving up nicely. We were bouncing off launch lows. So OP now went from 50, it's almost at $1. When it gets there, my TP for OP is $1.40. So it's almost doubled my money, but it gets I'm out. I'm selling. I'm not going to sell myself the hope that this is going to go 1,000x. Maybe these alts need long accumulation. They actually do need long accumulation. So be conservative with your targets. Enjoy the gains, but be conservative. Okay. Celestia is another one that we looked at, and maybe a secondary test at around $1.70 could turn the tide for this one. For now, I'm still not dreaming big on this one. It's nothing bullish on this just yet. It's trending bearish. And for most guys would be looking at this like this, saying to themselves, this is a descending wedge. And we know with these kind of triangle patterns, if we apply a time fib on it, where the line crosses, let's see, let's just extend that. See where the line crosses. There. These wedges, statistically, okay, so if you study, if you look at 1,000 of them, they typically break out at the 75% line, which means this thing can still go and chop around. And statistically, maybe the bounce or the low for this around 80 cents, maybe 50 cents. That would be the area. And that's a real danger. That's a real danger. You need to be, aware of that. You need to know this and keep this in the back of your head if you're stuck in Celestia. Okay. Aerodrome, another one of those. I mean, I gave you guys 70 cents, said get in. Good momentum. It's on the list. It's doing really well. Where's Aero? There it is. It's now jumped. Okay. It's on that list. 70 cents. We're sitting at $1. When we get there, I'm selling. I'm not waiting for moon. Yes, I would love to see moon, but I'm not waiting for that. Okay. So keep an eye on that one. SUI, we've been looking at, but there's some new coins I just want to quickly bring to attention. And well, let's finish up with SUI real quick. So SUI, the rule is very simple. If this is the first wave, the Gann rule works as follows, guys. 50% of the move will be retraced half the time. That would be a buy the dip move. So SUI has to do the following. It shouldn't make a higher high at $4.20, and then it should keep on just petering sideways till at least the end of this month. Then this would be the first wave. Then more SUI momentum could potentially give us more to the upside. I am aware of the fact that this has closed higher and the RSI is lower. So we're struggling with a little bit of a hidden bearish divergence here for SUI, but the trend has been bullish up till now. So I'm going to ignore that because you have to treat hidden bearish divergence only if we're in a bearish trend. Okay. So context from this point of view, SUI has been bullish. Okay. So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and understand that SUI is now moving into a TP zone. 4-hour time frame, we'll be giving you this. Look at this. Oh, high, high, lower high, falling below pivots, turning it into resistance. So we're moving into buy the dip territory for a lot of these alts again. I don't want to dip them there. I don't want to see them there. I want to see them here. Everybody has to be right occasionally for the market to make them wrong consistently. So SUI does have potential for at least $3.70, $3.50. They're about for a nice buy the dip. Okay, now let's have a look at Filecoin. There we go. I'll use the buy the pairing for that one as well. Weekly time frame, always important to have a look at this from a weekly time frame. Okay. Now, Bybit wasn't there when File got launched. I think we traded this on Binance when it launched. So we don't have all the picture. All that we do have here is bear market Filecoin. So I would love to, I should actually load this. I think, no, we traded not on Bybit, we traded it on FTX, on Binance. I traded on FTX, I think, back in the day. But there you have it. Ah, there it is. Okay, so Filecoin. So what's the rule? The danger that I have with any of these launches? 50% of the wick. Always going to be something to take note of. But when you look at this, so long is this accumulation. So break above this. That is not, the effort is not equal to the result if that's the case. So we could find that this thing goes to 129. Do I want to be that bullish? No, I want to be conservative and say, okay, right. Filecoin go to $18, then maybe to $35. That's where I'll sell. And if the market then proves me wrong, and we do have a prolonged market, this changes and Bitcoin goes to 150 before we get to October. That's a possibility. Then I want to have the option. So I'll keep skin in the game to ride more Filecoin to a higher high. But that's it. Now, the long accumulation is nice, but now if we zoom and unpack that, where are we at now? So let's say, when did this thing stop dumping? Around there. So there's the secondary test of the lows. Okay. This is the sell liquidity. Let's take that away. So your phase A stopped there. So this is all phase B. And we've just now left and moved into phase C of a Wyckoff accumulation. What I want to see is just like we had with AVAX. Let me just go back to AVAX. I think I selected the right way. Yeah, there we go. What I want to see now, let's just move that out of the way. Trend within range. Okay, so there's the lateral range, and there's the trend within range. So for Filecoin, we need to start creating a trend within range. So it's very simple. You don't have to have a lot of reasons to invalidate being in this one. There's the line. Simple. Just stay above the line, Filecoin. As long as you do that, that's it. Now, here's the thing. From $3 just to the upper end of the range, it's already doubling your money. I will be selling half there. I'm taking the risk here because we've got support living right there. I'll just do that. That whole zone is support. I'm going to take the risk here. And when we get to this area, I'm going to take profit aggressively. Okay. It's Filecoin. It's AVAX. Turn back 2 weeks earlier. That's basically where it's at. All right. Let's see what else. We're 40 minutes in. I think that's a lot. That's everything that I needed to discuss with you guys today. Matthew, TARS AI, Aptos, I think, Bitcoin Cash, all those guys, head over to the Discord, drop the comments in there in the discussion area there, and I'll show some charts in there today. I am going to be trading with everybody in the Discord as well. The ETH AI, let's bring up the stream, is also pointing to the market running. Now I'm streaming with the stream. There we go. It's also pointing to the market going. Well, this one's switched bullish all of a sudden, but that's interesting. But statistically grinding sideways, what is expected. And yeah, so we're going to be trading this and a few other things. Okay, so there we go. What do I think about Kronos? All these guys, Nino, please head over to the Discord. We can continue there. I would love to have a little bit chat, but 40 minutes is as long as I need to be on YouTube. Otherwise, the stream just becomes, too lengthy, too drawn out. So I'll see you guys there. And yeah, cheers, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Leave me comments, anything else in the videos. I can also tailor the content going forward for the questions or stuff that you have. Cheers, guys.